Well, good afternoon, everyone. Darren Saul here, your host of Playing with Perspective, episode 155, with the lovely Alex Mansted. How are you, Alex?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for joining me in the
I'm excited to
suspended
be here.
animation studios.
Yes, I'm excited to be here in your living room with you. Thanks for having me.
I love it. So, everyone out there, Alex has got a fantastic story, and we're going to be chatting all about following what lights you up to build the life you want. So, Alex is the founder of Aytria, which is a mindfit community that brings together resources, experiences, and experts to help you thrive. I love it, Alex. That sounds great.
Yes, thank you. We can thank my marketing guru for that one. No, yeah, I'm really excited to be here today talking to you about this and give you guys a little bit more insight into me, Atria, and how I even got to this place, really.
Awesome. And it's something that everybody's talking about more and more is like living to your truth, doing what you love, trying to build a life around what you enjoy and what you're good at. Still has to be viable to make money,
Yeah.
but it's such a common topic these days because I suppose everybody's feeling a little bit burnt out and the pressures of the world and the corporate space and everything else. So maybe tell us a bit about your background, your story, and how
Yeah.
Atria came about.
Absolutely. And to that point, like living your best life was coined for a reason, right? It's a phrase for a reason. And I just feel like we're now in a really unique world where you can live your best life and find a way to monetize it.
Yep.
And that's just basically what I'm trying to do. And I think everyone should be doing. You should just be doing what you really want to do in life. I know that's quite obvious, but yeah, so I don't even know where to start. I always get caught at like, where do I even go back to? But basically, I was an insurance broker for 12 years. So I've
Wow.
been in the corporate world for pretty much my entire adult life. So
Hmm.
I started when I was 18 in the insurance world and
Wow.
worked my way up through various roles, all within sort of broking, sales, relationship management, and then moved into some operations towards the end. And then it was 2019, end of 2019, I took a role at a tech startup company. So at the time, I thought that it was kind of like, I was ready to move into something, a different industry or a career
Mm.
change. Really, in hindsight, I think I've just always been wanting to start my own thing. And
Yep.
that was kind of, I'd been sort of searching for a while, but that was me just sort of taking a leap. Unfortunately, it was not the time to take leap because COVID hit March and I
Yes.
was without a job by April. So unfortunately, it just was wrong timing to be a new person in a startup business.
Yeah.
So
It's pretty
um,
rough time.
Oh, right. And honestly, like they just really supported me through it. And it was just really unfortunate timing. I'm still good mates with all of them. And it's just one of those things that, yeah, I got out of it and I was like, what the hell do I do now? Like it was one of those moments of holy shit.
Yep.
I definitely I was shit scared. I was like,
Yep.
what do I do now? And the funny thing is that even when I took the job at the tech firm, I'd said to, the close people that I'd talked to before taking the role, no matter what happens, worst case scenario, this doesn't work out. Like, but I've gained a serious amount of experience. Yes, I've left an industry that I've known for 12 years, but I'm sure that I can find something, that I'll be okay, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I took some time off. Thankfully, I could support myself for a little bit through that time and had some help during that time as well,
Great.
and was able to take a breath. And this is why I even chose the topic that we're discussing today, which was following what lights you up. That like gave me a chance to really sit for a second and figure out what the hell I want in life. And like, really, I don't mean just,
Really do
you know,
some deep soul searching.
yeah. And I think, and the funny thing is, well, it's not funny. I mean, COVID and that everything everyone went through was really, really tough. And it was a mixture of giving people opportunities and taking opportunities away. So it's a really weird one, because
True.
and I think your mindset becomes so important during that time, and that was the biggest disruptor, is to your mindset.
100%.
I was really lucky at the time to have moved out with my best friends. We were set up in, a beautiful suburb. So I was really, really grateful for the space that I could take this time in.
Yep.
And through that, like, it sort of started with, I was freaking out. Like, I'm not going to lie. I was sitting there like, what the hell do I do now? Like, do I go back to insurance? Do I stay in the tech world? Like, is being in a tech startup really what I want? And it all sort of started going through, I just started to figure out what I naturally draw towards. So for me, it was always digital content. So YouTube videos, Instagram, social media. Like, don't get me wrong, I appreciate that social media can be the devil, but I also I really love it. And I think that it's a powerful tool when you use it the right way.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, well, I hope so, because I feel like that's the basis of a lot of what we do. So, but I truly do believe that. And it's all about how you use it, and not letting it use you, so to speak. So,
so true. And
yeah.
particularly particularly this year, it's almost gone to another level. I call it social media 2.0.
Yeah.
It's gone to another level now.
NFTs, like, I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Oh my
but I have no
God,
idea
you do.
what I'm talking about. And these are things that I'm now starting to really get into and understand. And it just blows my mind, like, what people are trying to create and how they're trying to create it. And if anyone doesn't know what blockchain is out there, go and research it. Just look up blockchain for dummies. That's what I did. And honestly, it really gives you a good overview.
And if you want to get into NFTs, Gary V is
Yes.
always talking about NFTs. So
Yep.
check out one of his videos, because
Absolutely.
he's right on the bandwagon with NFTs.
Exactly. Or there's a really good podcast, and I'm going to do a shameless plug right now, because I was just on this podcast. But Matt Gottesman, he just had a guy on talking all about NFTs. That's about to come out soon.
Okay.
But it gave a really good, and that's actually how I understood a lot of it. And I feel like when you have analogies around that sort of stuff, it's much better to understand than just, I don't know, reading Google. That's how I tried to do it. So yeah, I guess, like, I started to, and part of that, I was drawing towards lots of YouTube videos, which I've always done, but lots of adventure stuff, and a lot of, like, I don't know, just stuff away from my career. And even at the time, I even said to a friend, like, I feel like for the first time in my life, I'm not seeking in my career. Like, I was always really ambitious about my career. And I just sort of started to become really ambitious in other areas of my life too, like even just cooking. And I started doing handstands and things like I think everyone did.
While you cook?
Well, they either did handstands or cook banana bread. So I chose handstands. And I actually did a workshop with one of, her name's Morgan Rose, and she does sort of gymnastics tutorials and things like that. And
God.
I just started to do, I'm not good at them, by the way. Let's preface all of that by saying that it's definitely a hobby. But yeah, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is that I just started to do things that brought me joy and lit me up, rather than just trying to figure out,
sucked out your energy.
Yeah. And also, how do I turn this into a career? That stopped becoming the question, because, and I say this to anyone, we are in an age where you can turn anything into a career, like
100%.
anything. Even, for Christ's sake, I know everyone gives some shit to OnlyFans, but if you want to go do that, you do you, and there's a platform for it now. So those are the things that, like, there's opportunities for anything that you want to do these days. And
Absolutely.
I truly think that we need to remove this fear around, and I understand it because I've been through it more times than the average person, but I understand why it's scary, and why, because we've all been programmed to believe that it's one way your entire life.
So true. And the other thing, I might just jump in, it's like the era of the side hustle. Everybody's
Mm,
got a side hustle, maybe more than one, and that's cool. And because of the internet,
yep.
and because of marketing these days, we can all do it. And why not?
100%. And to, jumping ahead, I'll come back to this, but like we just spoke about this, I work full time right now.
Hmm,
So yes, I've got Aytria, but I also work full time so that
there you
I
go.
can help fund Aytria. And also because I'm a a recruiter in insurance, which was a really good way for me to utilize the experience that I have in the past and monetize it and help a
Yep,
business and pass on the experience and the knowledge that I've gained over 12 years. So
absolutely.
you don't have to be one thing, you don't have to do it one way. And I truly, like, that's one thing that I am just really, really passionate about, is trying to help people, just help them to open up their mind a little bit to try something new.
Yep,
And I guess I'm now in a really good role to be doing that as a recruiter, because you're talking about careers often. So
100%. Yeah.
but I agree with you. I think that side hustles now are, it honestly does not take a lot of funds to start something these days,
Yep.
especially online.
Yeah.
So
You
if
can
you're
always
out
do
there
things.
thinking about
Yep. It just
it,
takes a bit of time. You don't have to spend a lot of money. There's so many great tools that are for free, and even CRMs and other things. And
yeah,
it's just more about making something of what you love to do and seeing where it goes.
and yeah, following what lights you up.
Just
That's
absolutely.
yeah.
So tell us more about Atria. So what exactly is it? And
Yeah.
tell us more about Atria. How did you come up with this name? What is it?
Yeah, okay. So the name, it's a shout out, and he doesn't actually even realize that he helped me come up with it. But a friend of mine was, so basically, like, this, how it's all come about is just take, like I said, I followed what lights me up, figured out what my strengths are, figured out what I naturally draw towards, and it's always been and always will be likely to be personal development.
Great.
Anything to do with the mindset, anything to do with mental health. Of course, we've all been through mental health struggles. I don't know any person who has not dealt with something in the mental health area.
Sure.
And I am, the same. And I've been through quite a few things that have definitely tested the mental capacity.
Yep.
And I guess from that, I just, there has to be ways to deal with things. And that's kind of where a lot of this is stemmed from.
Mm-hmm.
So about 5 years ago, I unfortunately lost my mum, and
Oh,
she was really, really sick my whole life. And I think growing up watching that, it's been hard to separate and see other people struggle and not want to help or not want to do something about it. And I think it stemmed from growing up watching my mum go through that and feeling a little bit helpless at times. I know, my whole family felt that way at times too. So
so sorry to hear that.
no, thank you. And look, it is one of those things that I definitely tell it as part of my story, because it's a big why. It's a big purpose and a big reason why I'm doing what I do. And, it's always hard because I always struggle with whether I mention it or not. And the one thing that I find, and like, the more that we tell these things about ourselves and be vulnerable and say these things, I think people relate to us. And like, there could be somebody out there right now who's going through that same thing and might relate to this. So I feel like telling those things about ourselves is important. So I obviously went through a few things. That was about 5 years ago. And that was probably the defining moment where I really took my mental health seriously. Like, that was the thing. I'd always loved understanding, mental health, but it was always for a different reason. I feel like it was always, how do I achieve, like, I don't know, maybe just not getting to the core reason of why I want to achieve the things I want to achieve. So obviously when that happened, it really woke me up to a lot of things. It made me take a lot of responsibility. And since then, it's just been a journey with meeting multiple health professionals, all different types of people that deal with different things, and then taking my own mental health into my hands and realizing that you can literally do anything and overcome anything as long as you have the right tools and support. So that's basically where Atria sort of stems from, is that
Yes.
I want to help people find better ways of dealing with their mental health. And part of that is creating a community that houses the best resources, experts, experiences, anything that you need in order to help you thrive.
Oh,
And
sensational.
yeah, oh, thank you. Well, it's definitely a big concept. You know, it's not like one specific product or one specific service. But I never really wanted it to be about that, because we don't have one way of taking our mental health into our hands.
Yep.
And our physical health as well, because
Mm.
they're all tied into the one thing.
Yep.
So even down to, you know, I had a chronic back problem for 7 years that I overcame, and that was in conjunction with my own stuff, but working with a trainer and a physio. And I went through so many different avenues. So it wasn't just physios. There was some kinesiology involved,
Wow.
lots of different ways and different people, until I found what actually worked. And that was for 7 years. So you can imagine that that was very frustrating, a lot of time and money spent on that. So there's always been a few different things that that I feel like have contributed to why Aytria even exists.
Yep. And it's kind of taking its own journey as in real time as well.
Yeah. And I used to joke with my friends about wanting to own a gym or wanting to own a wellness center. And it was never a joke. Really, in hindsight, I was saying actually what I really wanted to do. But sometimes I think we joke about things when we don't think that they're possible. So it's funny now that, you know, it's not a joke anymore. And it's something that I take seriously enough that I am pursuing as a full-time career. So,
Sensational.
yeah, so and the name actually stems from the word atrium. So atrium is a Roman dwelling which breathes light internally to a space. So I
Nice.
wanted it to feel, you know, I want Atria to feel light. I want it to feel like it's a place that you can come that really feels like home, and you know, it's something that you can trust, and a name that it's associated with a lot of different core values like collaboration, community, excitement. I love core values. I talk about them often. So that's also part of some of the things that we offer through Aytria. But so yeah, that's basically where the name came from. And
Nice. I love it. And
yeah, because it's a very
how's the journey been to build it? Has it been a pretty smooth process, or have you had a lot of stumbling blocks along the way?
I don't know anyone who started a business that says it's smooth. And if they have, I want to meet them and I want to know what they did.
Pick their brain.
Look, I think that it's a part of kind of who I am as well, that I like to learn the hard way, unfortunately.
Yep.
And fortunately, it means I learn a really good lesson when I go through things, but it sometimes means I have to go through a little bit of pain.
Yep.
And I guess, yeah, it has not been smooth at all, but it's been a lot of fun. It's been very exciting. It's been challenging. I feel I've never felt more fulfilled in my life, really. And I actually said this today. I had lunch with one of my best friends and we caught up and haven't caught up in a while. And she was like, you know, what's like, how do you feel? And I was like, I've never felt this level of confidence before. Like
Awesome.
just my level of self-worth, I guess, and how I feel about myself, thanks to Aytria, because you have to put yourself out there constantly. Like when you start a business, you are constantly putting yourself out there, not just, and obviously I have my social media and I'm putting myself into the brand.
Yep.
So it's a really scary thing to do, because you know, we're human and rejection is one of the scariest things for humans. And I think that's been one of the hardest parts, is caring what people think.
Yeah.
And it's so detrimental to your vision. I honestly just wish that's the only thing that I truly wish, part of the human experience, we didn't have, because I can only imagine what people would do in life. And there's a lot of managing and a lot of things you have to go through when you start a business, that you have to really manage your mental health. And I'm lucky that I have professionals around me.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, what Atria is all about, is really utilizing the people around you, the resources. So we're not just, you know, I'm not just going to throw a professional at you or a service. People can choose to take that direction if they want to. I have plenty of friends who, when they've come to me for help or whatever, and I've said to them, you know, maybe go see this person, it's not their thing, and that's cool. Like there's another way for them. And
Mhm.
that's the important thing that I want Aytria to represent, is that there's not one way to be able to do this. And I just want to give people as much as I can, and the professionals and all of the people involved, to be able to make that choice, really.
Nice. You want to contribute something to society for the people that are going to find value with it.
Exactly. And it
Um,
really is, one of our unofficial taglines, which I'm trying to figure out if I use it as an official tagline, is breaking through bullshit.
yeah,
And
I love it.
it's really what, like, there is so much shit out there. Like, there is, like, honestly, in the fitness community alone,
Mm,
is it's just saturated with so much shit.
yep,
And all of the good trainers are the first people to say it, and it sucks because they're the ones that have to deal with that every single day. They're out there trying to actually help people, but they always have to deal with this stigma that's attached to things.
so
So
true.
yeah, and in the mental health industry now, which is so ironic that an industry that's meant to help people can be so detrimental. So I think and in a lot of ways, this has stemmed from my background as being a broker. Part of your role as a broker is being a trusted advisor.
Yep.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to recreate here, just for a different industry, really.
Well, I mean, it brings us to a great question. Is that you know there's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot of great coaches, service providers, healthcare providers, professionals. How do you vet them? How do you decide who you let in and who you don't let in?
Yeah, and that's I'll be dead honest, that's one that I'm still wrestling with. I In the first instance, so we have a directory of providers already, and I think it's up to 6 professionals.
Mm-hmm.
For me, these are all people I personally know, I've personally worked with,
Nice.
and they are trusted. So for me, bringing people into Atria is a very selective process, and it's not because I'm trying to be exclusive. It's actually the opposite. I want
Yep.
this to be something that is truly valuable to people. So in terms of like actual providers and vetting them, that how can I possibly do that with everyone in the world, right?
No, you
So
can't.
eventually what I see this being, and it's what I'm starting to aim towards, is to have a board of people that vet people.
Yep.
So vet the professionals. And because this really is the whole point of Atria, is it doesn't belong to me. It really is, it's for everyone.
It's a
And
community for the community.
the community for the community. Even my friends, we just had our first event on Saturday, which was an outdoor yoga event,
Oh,
and
nice.
I was really I was lit up by how amazing the energy was there. And it was because I felt like that like, even though I am obviously the one that's running Atria, it didn't feel like it was just like me
Yeah.
and my business putting on an event. It just felt like a collective, a collaboration. And that's really what Atria is all about. That's why, even products and things like that, of course there are products that I have in mind that I want to do, but I will be utilizing other people's brands to bring them to life, because I don't believe that I really need to go and recreate things that are already created. Like, we have enough stuff in this world. It's
Mhm.
like, you're not going to probably see me doing an activewear line anytime soon. Not that I am all for it, because I love activewear, I live in it, but I just feel like for me, it's not something that I really need to be doing, and could like adding more into that world.
Yep.
So
Yep. So, I mean, in terms of what you have set up so far, maybe give the audience an idea as to what kind of access, what kind of services, what kind of professionals they can actually find
yeah.
working with Atria as it is now.
Absolutely. So we've got a kinesiologist and a mindset coach. So that's Natasha King. She
Lovely.
is a genius human being. I've been seeing her myself for almost 5 years now. And she's actually a big reason why this business started. So other than all the other reasons I've told you, um, she and I started working together after I lost my mum. I went through kind of a bit of a burnout. I took a pretty senior job, lost my mom, went through multiple other things, breakups, things like that. And I just kind of burnt out. And I was pretty much looking for anything and everything to fix myself at the time. And I met Natasha, and this woman is just I actually don't have the words, and that's really probably not good. I need to probably find the words to really articulate. But and off the back of me seeing her, and then obviously talking about her, people seeing the changes in me, all of these little things, it's up to something like, I don't know, 35 or 40 people off the back of that have gone and seen her over time.
Oh my God.
And it was just one of those things that one of my friends just joked about it and was like, you need to set up a referral fee or something like this. And I was like, well, hang on a second, like there's actually something to that. So so there's Natasha. So for those who don't know what kinesiology is, it really is working with your mind and your body in combination. You help in terms of you're getting to your subconscious and doing a lot of muscle work and things like that to help unlock things that we might not even be aware of on our body or in our subconscious.
Wow.
So that's my explanation. I probably just butchered it, so I'm sorry to the kinesiologists out there listening. And she very much uses that in combination with a lot of other practices, which I love. She's very integrative.
Right.
So there's that. Then we have 2 PTs, both of them also wellness coaches. So everyone all has a tie into mindset, because I just truly do believe that the mind is where it starts for pretty much everything. And, even watching my mum and what she went through, a lot of her health issues were, I feel, very much stress related. And whether that was because, chicken before the egg was her, was it her body or was it her mind? Once you're at a certain point with chronic illness, it really does just take over your mental health completely. So all of the providers very much have a mindset focus, hence why, I say mind fit in our tagline. They're going to help you get mind fit. And then what else? We've got, who am I missing? We've got a yoga instructor, which is Diana. And Diana did our yoga session on the weekend.
Lovely.
And then we've also got a nutritionist. So Dee Zabara. Dee is amazing. She is also, and you've asked, how do I vet these people? Dee is actually somebody I grew up with, went to school with. And she is doing amazing things in her industry. She is just dynamic, very forward thinking, and she's really a disruptor, which I love about Dee. The people that align themselves with Aytria aren't afraid to break through a lot of stigma that's out there.
Yep. And kind of do things a little differently and challenge convention.
Exactly. And say what everyone else is thinking, but are maybe a little bit too afraid to say.
Yep.
And put themselves out there, even though it might not be the popular thing to do. So, and that is truly the core essence of Aytria, like even down to, it does become difficult when you're putting out content and creating content, who's going to like this? What's my demographic? And I know what the demographic is, and I've always known. And a part of me comes back to that every single time I create content or I'm working with others to create content. And as it goes out there, I really hate this phrase, but it's true, but your vibe attracts your tribe. So, and it's true, what you put out there is going to come back to you. So, and
you can't please everybody. You have to be true to yourself and 100%. Attract the right people. You can't please everybody.
Exactly. And I also feel like that's okay if it's not for you. If Aytria is not for someone, there's no judgment. Like there's something else out there for you. And I'll probably help you find it. Like that's and that's the thing is I really do want Aytria to be a place that people just naturally draw to, not something that I'm throwing something in their face or trying to sell them down some rabbit hole or whatever. It's not about that. If like you will naturally gravitate towards it if it's right for you. And I just truly believe that in all areas of your life, in relationships, even friendships, whatever it is, everything that is meant for you will come to you.
Yep. Love it. So true. Very Buddhist, philosophical, spiritual way of thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little too philosophical at times. I feel sorry for the people around me sometimes.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. And can anybody access Aytria, or do you have to go through some kind of process? How does it work?
No, anyone can access it. Right now, it's really a website, it's an Instagram, it's a LinkedIn. What else do we have? We are apparently about to do TikTok, is what my
Oh, TikTok.
marketing gurus are pushing me towards.
Great.
So right now, in terms of like, we've got lots of projects that are being rolled out. We've actually just added workshops and events to the list. So we've
Beautiful.
got
Great.
some really exciting projects coming up this year. So yeah, it's realistically website, and the Instagram is where I roll out a lot of my story and a lot of the content. And that's also about to come out with a lot more of, I guess, the resources. We've got a lot of the providers who have written some really amazing stuff, and that's starting to roll out now too. So
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, that's sensational. I mean, it just seems like a great culmination of your passion, of your story, of who you are, who you want to be. So, what a fantastic achievement. Well done.
Thank you so much, Darren. And it honestly, yeah, it is. It's very exciting to do something that feels very authentic and very much me in a business. I don't know if that's the smart way to do it, put yourself completely into the business, but we'll see. If it doesn't work out, I'm sure I'll learn a good lesson from it.
Absolutely. I mean, and in terms of the other things that you like to do, what else do you like to do? What is Atria all consuming at the moment?
No, definitely not. And like, I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't have gone through some of the stuff I've gone through without making sure that it's not.
Yep.
Yes, it is a massive part of my life. And I'm really, really lucky that my friends are so supportive and interested in it, and all of that. But I really do try to have boundaries with it as well, because I don't want it to become something I resent. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm massive about fitness. I love working out. I love exercising, hikes, walks, whatever it is. We're doing a fun run actually in June 20.
Nice.
So anyone out there who feels like walking/running with me, please come along. It's up the coast on the Central Coast.
Nice.
And we've teamed up with 3 other businesses to basically raise funds for, it's called Take 3 for the Sea. And they are a charity all relating to helping clear up the sea. So
Oh, how cool.
yeah, so there's, so yeah,
Are you an ocean person? Are you a swimming
I
person?
love the beach,
Yeah.
love anything outdoors, really. Like, I thrive with that. And that's a lot of, because of course, like, life is busy, right? Everyone's lives are busy. And for me, slowing down is actually like the most important thing. And
Yeah.
it's the thing I struggle with the most.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I like to go fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
All of us city
and
folk over here, it's almost like common practice.
oh my gosh. And it's funny because that's what Natasha and I are working on at the moment. That's our, like, kind of my challenge at the moment. How do you keep doing everything you're doing, but take the time for yourself? And that's why the outdoors for me is so important. Even if it's just like literally walking down the end of my street, which I literally did the other day.
Nice.
It was just an act, like a moment for myself, almost a little act for me. So that's definitely, I love cooking. I love, like, having people over to cook for. That's definitely a big one of mine. And yeah, just hanging out with my friends. I feel like that, just hanging out, laughing and talking shit, doing something that just kind of feels a little bit, I don't know, spontaneous or random. It always adds to feeling like you're living, I guess. So
Nice.
I
Oh,
love doing
nice.
that.
How cool. Sounds
Yeah.
like you've got a nice balance that I won't say that you've mastered, but that a nice balance that you're trying to maintain.
Trying. Yeah. Trying being the operative word there.
Yeah, trying to maintain. I mean, there's never something that we can master in that respect. It's always a struggle, but it's at least you have a mindfulness for what you're trying to achieve.
Do you feel like it's something that you, like, struggle with a bit as
Yeah,
well?
absolutely, absolutely. I'm also like you. I'm extremely efficient, and I go at 100 miles an hour, 200 miles an hour, doing everything at the
Yeah.
same time, and I get frustrated if things aren't happening fast, and I find it very difficult to kind of just take a step back and slow down, and I almost feel guilty if I
Yeah.
just take half a day off. I'm saying, all right, what am I doing?
Do you know, it's funny, look, it's not funny, but that is so normal, right? There's so many of my friends that are like that as well. And like, even I had to take a sick day last week, and like, I was feeling really run down. It's been around me. And I was laying in bed all day, like I was resting all day, but I was like, the whole time my mind was just like, I wasn't
It's
resting.
just ticking,
And I was
ticking,
like,
ticking.
why? And I got to kind of midday and I was like, why the hell am I doing this to myself? Like, I'm meant to be resting. My boss knows like I'm all good. He's the one that's told me to stay at home. Like I need to take a break.
Yep.
I just don't know why we struggle so hard to switch off.
Yeah, I just think it's our brains just get so used to getting into that groove, into that momentum, and it just almost runs away without us being able to control it. It has its own
And
mind, and we just have to somehow find a way to pull it back. So they say meditation, mindfulness, yoga is really great for that,
yeah,
to kind of just put you
definitely.
back into place.
Well, the thing that like even going when I had my back issue, one of the biggest things that was contributing to it being not in a good way was actually always being in a state of my sympathetic nervous system. So I could never actually switch into the opposite, which is your parasympathetic nervous system. I was always in fight or flight mode. And so one of the things that was really important was breathing.
Yep.
I know that that is so like, and it's everywhere these days. There's a breathing app for everything,
Yep.
or an app for breathing for everything. But it really did change the game when I started to do that more. And it's actually something I'm actually getting back into now.
Wow. So do you
Even
do
just
do you do intense breath work, or do you just take a couple of breaths and just deep
like
breaths
Wim
and
Hof
just
style, with a little bit of Wim Hof with the intensity. So I have done Wim Hof breathing exercises before, and I loved it.
okay,
And that's something more. I want to go and do a Wim Hof workshop soon.
right?
But more
I
than
haven't even
any,
heard of that. That's the first time I'm hearing it. Winhoff. I never heard of this.
oh, you've not heard of Wim Hof? Oh my gosh, Darren, you need to look him up.
No,
He is this crazy, passionate. I don't even know how to explain him, from the Netherlands,
all
and
right.
they call him the Iceman, and he's basically he really tries to help people to beat lots of different, like he's helped people with chronic illnesses,
Wow.
issues, things like that, where he believes in combination with meditation, breathing, and ice or cold therapy, all three of them. That's his method, and that basically helps with certain illnesses, mental health issues, things like that. So
Wow. I like the
there's some
first two,
really,
but the ice is a little bit scary.
so that's something I want to do. He's had people jump into, like -7 or whatever it is, -17 degrees or whatever,
Oof,
something ridiculous, in the Netherlands in
oh
the
my
middle
god.
of the freaking winter. So yeah, I don't know how I'd go with that, but I would give it a go. But these are the things I think that, and so to go back to your question, no, I don't do that. And the reason I don't right now is because it's even been hard for me to sit and just do even 2 minutes of breathing exercises.
Mm,
And the one thing that I have learnt about myself is that if I try to do something too extreme, I will never do it.
yep.
So, and taking a small step, so even just sitting for 2 minutes is more than enough,
Yep.
and when I'm
Perfect.
trying to do something.
Yep.
So that's why and like there's apps for it and stuff like that, but really just they call them box breaths, so holding your breath for 4, breathing in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4, and you keep doing that.
Yep.
And yeah, switches you into your parasympathetic nervous system,
I
and
love it.
you're reborn again. Pretty much. It's not magic, but when you do it often enough, it can be.
No, I love it. I mean, and it's just so important these days because, as we've been discussing, life just pulls us in a million directions, especially with technology and the pace of the world in the information age, that we really
Yep.
have to learn how to manage those triggers and get ourselves back into a parasympathetic state.
Well, you said it before we jumped on here, around dopamine,
Mm,
and like it is everywhere.
yep.
Like you get a like on Instagram and it's a hit of dopamine. You like anything in this world right now, it's really stimulating. And I
Yep.
think that like, it obviously feels good or we wouldn't do it, but it's being really aware of that. I think that's so important because it really does trick you into thinking that like that's proper.
Yeah, that should be the
Super.
norm. That should be the way of life.
Yeah,
And
no. And there's a
it's not
really good
balanced.
documentary. There's a good documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. I don't know if you've watched
I've heard of it.
that.
I've definitely heard of it,
Yeah.
but I haven't watched it, I don't think.
Yeah, anyone out there will go and watch it, and it just will broaden your horizons as to how social media can be really damaging. And I do say that obviously can be. Again, it's all about how you use social media, but being aware that it is very much a system, like, all of these platforms are strategizing to suck you in. Yes,
Ah, I have
that's what,
seen it. It's fantastic. When you said that,
yes. And
it
it's
just came to me. Brilliant.
yeah, yeah. I mean, even the fact alone that they employ people that work in casinos that help people to bring into and stay and they implore strategies that keep people in casinos into social media.
Yep.
Like that kind of says it all.
Yep.
So
Fascinating. It's a fantastic documentary.
absolutely.
Well
And this is
done.
what you'll find at Atria, more of this sort of stuff, lots of recommendations
Yeah. The
and
antithesis of that, the opposite of that.
yeah, exactly. I can't help myself, as you can tell.
Well, Alex, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show. You know, I love your energy. I love what you're trying to do. And I think everybody out there will definitely benefit in some way or another from what you provide. So they should go and check out your website and the links and your events. So maybe tell us how we can find out more about Atria and how we can find you.
Thank you. So Atria, so go Instagram. So at Atria __. So that's my Instagram.
Nice.
And then website is www.atria.com.au. And then on LinkedIn, we're just under Atria, and that's AYTRIA.
Perfect. And then you'll be able to get all the details with regards to events and everything from the website and the social media.
Yep. Absolutely. Everything's all on there. So
Awesome.
yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been so great to meet you. And I don't know, like you said about energy, you just kind of can feel it when you're talking to someone where you feel super comfortable and energized. So I really appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. But I will definitely put all those great links in the show notes for everybody to access, because I think it's be a great resource to watch, and I'm sure it's going to grow from strength to strength. Now, I always ask my guests to leave us with something at the end of the show. So leave us with some final words of Alex wisdom. You've given us so many already, but what would you like to leave us with? Any thoughts, anything?
Okay, and I'm only thinking of this because it came from a meeting that I had about Atria this morning. I was talking to actually a very exciting human being that's coming a part of Atria, hopefully. And we were talking about just managing your mental health when you're putting yourself out there. And
Nice.
one of the things that we were both saying is, and this is my favorite quote at the moment, and I'll probably get it tattooed on me, probably not, but will you remember this person when you're 80? And I feel like it's a great thought to ask yourself, or a great question to ask yourself when you are trying to decide what to do on something, whether it's something on the weekend, something as small as something on the weekend, or something as big as where should I go in my career? Will you remember this when you're 80? Will you remember this person when you're 80?
In other words, talking about yourself in a way.
Yeah. So basically just trying to understand that, like, just either do it or don't do it. Like if it's something that you truly, truly do not want to do, say no. And like, that's a huge core value. It's not a core value, but it's a huge part of what I'm about, is like, just say no. I often say no to things and put up boundaries because it's important to say no to things, but equally say yes if it's something you really want to do, if it's something you really want to go for and it's genuinely what you're being pulled towards. Are you going to remember it when you're 80? If the answer is yes, then go and do it, because you want to look back on your life. I guess you want to look back on your life and feel like you lived the shit out of it. That's basically what it's about.
I love it. What a great way to finish. Well done, Alex. That's sensational. I really love it. So thank you very much for joining us. For all the audience out there, I hope you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did. And hopefully we might even get Alex back on in the next few months and see how Aytria is progressing.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Darren.
My pleasure. Thanks again. Everybody out there, have a great day, and we'll see you very, very soon for another episode. Bye for now.